Welcome to the video lecture for the Electoral College. This video lecture is designed to give you background information on the Electoral College to be able to participate in the structured academic controversy. First of all, let's start off with a little bit of history on the Electoral College. Before the Electoral College was created with the 12th Amendment, each of the states would have 2 votes to elect the President of the United States. So these 2 votes would be cast by each one of the states. The candidate who received the highest number of votes would be elected president, and the candidate with the second highest number of votes would become the vice president. With our first constitutional president was George Washington, and his vice president was John Adams. After serving his first 2 terms, George Washington retired and John Adams ran for president. John Adams was elected president, and the person who was elected his vice president was Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson received the second highest number of votes. This created a problem because John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were from different political parties, and they had a lot of differences politically. So as John Adams vice president, Thomas Jefferson was not on the same political party, so he didn't have the same thoughts as John Adams. With the 23rd Amendment to the Constitution, this is going to give the District of Columbia 3 votes in the Electoral College. The District of Columbia is the nation's capital. It's not a state, and it's not a county, and it's not a city or a town. It's the District of Columbia. It is our nation's capital. And there are people who live within the District of Columbia, so they needed to be able to be represented in the Electoral College. So the numbers. Every 10 years there's a census in the United States. So we have people who go around and count every single person who lives in the United States. So they take those numbers and they use those numbers to figure out who is going to have the representation in the House of Representatives. So to figure out how many people are represented by one member in the House of Representatives, they take the total number of the population and they divide that by the 435 seats that are in the House of Representatives, and that determines how many people one seat in the House of Representatives is worth. So depending upon the population within a state, if the population within a state goes up, then it is possible that a state may gain a seat in the House of Representatives. And the reverse is also true, that if the population goes down, a state may lose a seat in this House of Representatives. So the electors, so who are these people? Well, they are determined by the number of representatives for each state, and that is going to be the number of House of Representatives plus the number of senators. So for example, Arizona has 9 seats in the House of Representatives and 2 seats in the Senate. Each state has 2 seats in the Senate. This means that Arizona has 11 electors, because you would have 9 plus 2, which equals 11. So within the states, each of the political parties is going to elect or appoint their electors. So within the state of Arizona, the Republican Party will appoint 11 people to be the electors for the Republican Party. The Democrats will also appoint 11 people who will be the electors for the state of Arizona. And this is the same for any other political parties within the state of Arizona. So when you vote for president, you're actually voting for the electors within the state. So your vote. So when you go into the polling place and you cast your vote, on the ballot it may have the name of the presidential candidates, but it also may have the names of the electors within the state. So you will go in and you will either vote for the president or you will vote for the electors in your state. When the votes are all counted within a state, whoever has the majority of the votes is going to be the political party who's going to ask their electors to vote for the candidates for president and vice president. Historically, 99% of the time, the electors have voted for the political party who appointed them. In some states, there has been laws passed that require the electors to vote for the candidate whose party has appointed them. But in some states, like Arizona, there are no laws. So what could end up happening is you could have electors who are appointed by one political party, and then they could, in theory, vote whatever way they wanted to, so they could vote for the other political candidate. And once again, 99% of the time, the electors have voted for the party who has nominated them to be an elector from the state. With the Electoral College, within each state, it is winner takes all. There are, however, two exceptions to this. The states of Nebraska and Maine will divide their votes. So in Nebraska, they have 5 Electoral College votes, and in Maine, they have 4. They will divide up their votes based upon the proportion of the votes within their states. So, using Maine as an example, they have 4 Electoral College votes. Say that a candidate, and we'll make this really easy, say that a candidate gets 75% of the vote in the state of Maine. He will get 3 of the 4 votes in Maine, and the other candidate will get the 1 vote. Now, Nebraska and Maine are the only 2 states that do this. So in all the other states in the United States, if you get 51% of the vote or more, then you will get all Electoral College votes for that particular state. So it's really important for the candidates to focus on states that have the larger population or the larger number of Electoral College votes. And that's when we see in the election time that a lot of candidates will spend their time and their money in the states that have that higher number of population in them. So your question for the structured academic controversy is the Electoral College the best way to elect our president and vice president? And this will end the video lecture for the Electoral College